Mr. Chairman.
You may.
Members, we're all in agreement that the current status quo for groundwater is disastrous. But as we've heard from the public, this proposal does not reflect true conservative principles. Nowhere in this proposal does it ask us to live within the means of our limited natural resources. And that's even irresponsible, even for my progressive values. There is no measuring and reporting other than estimates, but none of those estimates are subject to public records. That's not smart planning or management either. Mining water with no regard for people's property rights, I would have thought that would have been an attack on conservative principles. And then we heard from the public that this proposal won't even help the people who need the most help. So there's no real management, no real oversight, no real conservation written into this proposal. How is this an embodiment of conservative principles? I understand that there might be a cut to the aquifer when the water rights are transferred, but let's not confuse that with conservation. A 2% cut it's not even really trying, given some of the more drastic hydrological conditions in some of our most worst off basins. It's beyond me why we as a state would just hand out water rights with huge significant value without any sort of management program or even conservation, with no tracking or accountability. This isn't a water proposal. This is a gift to corporate agriculture, and there's no amendment that can fix that. If this proposal passes, going forward, protecting our limited groundwater will be all but impossible, leaving so many rural Arizonans high and dry. There are so many ways that this proposal is broken and simply not workable, but I'll end my comments by focusing on my first questions about the allotted ARPA money. As I stated, ARPA dollars have to be obligated by the end of the year or they go back to the federal government. This bill tries to appropriate $40 million in ARPA dollars for conservation, but let's just play it out. Let's pretend the legislature adjourns by the end of April. That puts the general effective date by around the end of July. That would give us at around 150 days for the Department of Water Resources to create these BMAs, and then for entities within the BMA to come up with conservation measures, and then for those entities to find the 50% match that's required by this proposal, and then those entities have to apply for the funding, and then ADR has to award those to the applicants. This is not going to happen, right? I mean, even if we realistically sine die sometime around Memorial Day, then we literally don't have enough time. Conservative estimates say that even if, with all these hoops that everyone's got to jump through, it's going to take 245 days to get one of these BMAs created. And even if a basin could use this faster process, that still doesn't leave enough time with how much time we're giving ourselves because of the general effective date. But even then, that's all assuming that there's no challenges to the process, which is super unlikely. It's just not going to happen. Again, and even if it does, even if one or two basins manage to pull it off, the rest of the ARPA money is just going to be lost. It's going to go back or lost through bureaucracy. This measure either wasn't thought through or it's all for nothing. I ask that you oppose this proposal and that instead we get to work on real, long-lasting protections for Arizona's water future. I have to vote no.